10 to 15%, they may not be that much smart enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's the timing now? Time right now there?
It's 5:30 a.m. sir in the morning.
5:30 a.m. So it's quite a hard time for you.
Not exactly, but it's
Okay. So, Mangla General, what is your daily routine activity? Morning, will you go for exercise or regular anything?
no, sir. I'm not really a morning person, but I keep the things in the evening. Once after coming from job, then I will attend.
Okay.
Yeah, morning legotam tea tages bayildertam.
Okay.
Yeah. And now since it is working from home, I'm little leisure.
Leisure, comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't know. Actually, this culture has been developed in India also. Now, once this pandemic is over, how the people are going to react for the offline?
Yeah.
So almost
people will find it very difficult, sir, to get accustomed to their normal offices and regular stuff.
That's what actually first in the initial days we also struggled a lot to come to the online platform.
Yeah.
Now everyone is very comfortable with the online platform. I don't know in future how the faculty and the students are going to take the offline platform.
Earphones, black color. Earphones.
Avanindra, kada food ani okay na?
Yeah, self-cooking, sir. We keep him trying, doing experiments, and some days it will work out well. Some days he will throw it out.
Tarun kela undi. Both are roommates one, no?
No, sir. Like I am on the East Coast and he's in the Midwest. It's like a one-day journey if you go by car. It's almost a 27 to 34 hours journey.
So you are staying separate?
Avanindra?
Yeah. I'm in the East Coast, sir.
Avanindra, what about your comments on this thing? Political outcome?
Political Indian politics or US politics, sir?
US politics. I'm talking about US politics.
Right US now. Politics, let's hope for the Democratic opponent, sir, like Joe Biden. And even the wave is for Joe Biden. So let's hope for him. Yeah.
But, what we have seen in Indian newspapers that most of the Indians are favoring Trump. That is
it's just a political stunt, sir, that he's claiming that we are with him. But I don't think so. After all these struggles, what has put us through, so I don't think we Indians will be with him. So.
Okay.
And Avani, how are your batchmates? Are you in regular contact with them?
Yes, sir. I mean, with post-graduates, yes, and not every one of them, but there are few people who are in still contact. Yeah.
I think one girl has gone there, na? Mohandas, US.
Sir, I think Avani is a senior, sir.
No, Avanindra, okay.
No, sir. In regular family, one girl is there, sir.
One girl, that regular farm D.
Bhavana Reddy, sir.
Bhavana. She's regular.
No, not Bhavana. Earlier one more.
Soumya, I guess.
Postgraduate means Soumya, sir.
Soumya, okay. Where is she right now? Soumya?
US only, sir.
Yeah, US, but even I don't know, sir. I just know that she's here and she's married, but and Bhavana is here and she's planning to come India probably this month end.
Actually, while studying, she was the first person to approach me, sir. Is there any possibility of PharmD getting approval in US or something like that? She has asked first, if I remember correctly. But later on, you people, yourself and Tarun, and how many are there from PharmD in US?
As far as I know, it's just me and Tarun, sir.
Arun, sir.
Okay.
2 members.
Yeah.
Okay.
And 3 of them are in Gulf, and 1 have returned back to this Yemainur, sir. I think
Yeah.
Umar.
Umar, yeah.
Okay. Now my laptop has come. I will join through laptop if you permit me.
And Avni, how much is your duration of employment there? Work hours?
I mean, how long I can work here?
I don't know. I mean, routinely for a day, what is your duration of work?
No, it's just 8 hours, sir. 8 hours.
8 hours.
Yeah. And people hardly remain in their seats for 8 hours.
Means a continuous process, or you may have a break in 8 hours.
No, I mean, people usually start here by 8 o'clock in the morning and they will leave their seats by 11 o'clock and they will go to gym and have a 30 period or 40 minute period break.
Okay.
And they will return back at 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock and then continue the rest 4 hours.
Oh. Sahati? So, everything. Avni, akkada means Python database you are following for pharmacovigilance.
No, sir. Python and R is mostly for banking sector or I mean, as far as clinical research is concerned, I mean, SAS is the most widely used data analytical tool, but R and Python are mostly for other banking sector and or petroleum data analytics, all that.
Okay.
Yeah, Mohan Raj,
Sir?
you can start. Sahith, you can ask. I think
Yeah, sir. Sure, sir. Sahati?
most of the participants, I think they are watching YouTube. They have not
Yeah,
joined.
sir.
Morning, most of them have joined. Afternoon, they have relaxed.
I think so, sir. No, sir, they are in YouTube streaming, sir.
Okay, Narayana, you can ask in the meantime our students to join.
Sure, sir. Okay, sir.
It's for them only we are arranging. Why these people are so reluctant? You can put a strong message to them.
Okay, sir.
Sahati?
Sahiti, in the meantime, you can.
Yes, sir.
Virendra, YouTube streaming లో ఎంతమంది ఉన్నారు? Students remaining. Sure. You just text into the group. Students group లో లింక్ మళ్ళీ పంపించి యూట్యూబ్ లింక్ పంపించి జాయిన్ అవ్వమని చెప్పండి.
Sir, I'm posting, sir.
So, Avinindra Anna?
Yep.
Whether you are share the slides or నేను షేర్ చేయమంటారా అన్న? మీరు షేర్ చేస్తారా?
I think it's comfortable for me to share myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, after the introduction, I'll ask you to share the slides, Anna. Then you
Okay.
can start.
Sure.
సాహిత్యం మీరు అది ఇంట్రో స్లైడ్ షేర్ చేయండి మా.
Yes, sir. I'm sharing, sir.
Okay. Avinindra, try to plan to come over here when you're back to
Definitely,
India.
sir. Sure. Sure, definitely.
And it's hardly nearly 4.5 years or 5 years, I think so.
Yeah. Anantapur is, it has a special place in my heart, so I definitely come there. Yeah.
You have to come.
Sure, sir.
Thank you.
All your batchmates, we are only in contact with phone or WhatsApp. And after 2014, you have completed hardly, students were here for 6 or 7 months, coming for their provisionals and so on certificate. Once it was over, I think by 2015 February, they left Anantapur. And up to now, nobody have visited college.
Shall we start, sir?
Okay, ma. Mere start cheyandi, ma.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, all. Hope you had a nice lunch and welcome back for the afternoon session. Today's afternoon session, we are having Dr. Avanindra. Sir has completed his B.Pharmacy from Dr. MGR Medical University, PharmD from Raghavendra Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, a postbaccalaureate student. And then he has completed MBH from Saudi State University. And currently, sir is pursuing his MBA University of North America. And Pharmacovigilance Operation Associate as a Pharmacovigilance Operation Associate in Sarepta Therapeutics in Cambridge. And there, as a Pharmacovigilance Operations Associate, sir has performed various tasks such as initial safety review and triage of adverse events and managing the adverse events mailbox, performing oversight of data entry and generating the SAE listings and distribution of safety reports to IRBs and communicating with the collaborators, stakeholders. And apart from this, sir has a good knowledge regarding ICH guidelines and other good manufacturing, good laboratory and good clinical practice guidelines. And sir has executed drug safety information including case triage, case entry, coding, narrating, which is all most important basic parts of our pharmacovigilance. And then sir has experience, various adapt knowledge regarding MHDRA coding and WHO-DD coding principles. And sir has a proficient in identification and assessment of suicide case reports. So with this brief introduction, I can say that sir has having enormous knowledge related to the pharmacovigilance system, how it is going to work out, and what are the basics we have to learn, and what are the things what are the skills we have to learn before we opt for that stream. And apart from that, sir will guide us about other opportunities which will be available in USA, what we can seek out. So with this brief introduction, I welcome Avanindra sir to start the session.
Sure. Thank you, Sakti.
And a small announcement to the participants. After the session, we'll be having a Q&A session. So the questions from the Q&A box and also from the chat box in Zoom app and also from the comment section from YouTube we'll be taking, and we'll be forwarding the questions to the speaker. Please feel free to ask the questions.
Before I start, can you please confirm that whether you can see my screen?
We are able to see. We are able to see. You can.
Yeah, it is visible. It is visible, Avani.
Okay. So yeah, hello everyone. This is Avanindra, and so let's just dive in right into the topic. And I wanted to discuss a bit about the prerequisites. So before knowing what are all the career opportunities we have in USA, I would like to, hello?
Yeah, you can go.
You can go for slideshow.
Okay. Is it better?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to stress upon prerequisites, meaning what are the critical fields or what are the critical topics that we should have that we should master during this PharmD or Pre-PharmC before we plan for any abroad studies, because these prerequisites are the steps to your career opportunities. I mean, once you have these prerequisites laid very strongly in your as a basics, that will definitely open doors for your career and whatever. It could be a pharmacovigilance, it could be any other fields like data management or any other SaaS or clinical research. So let's see what are all the prerequisites we have and start from there. So find your heart. What does it mean? So what's your interest? So what is your driving factor? Do you have interest in research, or do you have interest in getting the pharmacist license, or do you have any other interest? So first find your heart. Where is your heart? And what is the next one? Research all your possible options. So in case if the student's interest is in doing research, what are the options that he has? And who else could be the resource person? And what should I do to make the research or other options, and make informed decisions. Don't just make decisions by random. I mean, if you are interested in that, go for it. Definitely go for it. But what is an informed decision? If you are interested in clinical research, then you should make a fact check. First, you should have all the facts about the clinical research. So, and based on the facts, you have to make the decision. So your decision should have a rationale behind it. So what are all the groundwork you should do for the, just give me 1 second. I would like to, yeah. Okay. So what are the what should be the groundwork for any student to find the opportunities in USA? So the first and foremost thing is to learn and perform research. Like, so what kind of clinical, in case if you are going for a clinical trials, you should be able to do a study on your own. So if you want to do a study on your own, you should be able to know what kind of study you are going to perform. Is it a retrospective? Is it a prospective? Is it a case control study? Or is it a cohort study? So you should be able to define your study, and you should be able to give the rationale why you are going for that kind of case control study or a retrospective study. So a sound knowledge on clinical research is very important to survive in USA, and especially in the field of clinical research. And you should know the in and outs of scientific publications. What do I mean by that? So you should be able to publish your own articles, scientific articles. You should be able to do your research on your own without any support from, with a minimal support from your investigator or whoever it is. But for the most part, you should be able to generate your data. You should be able to analyze your data, and you should be in a position to do your research. That's what I meant. And coming to the next step, you should IELTS, GRE, TOEFL. These are pretty standard steps that I am sure that every student knows. And why this is so much important. And yeah, as you know, USA is it's a country where English is widely spoken, and It's not that other languages are not spoken, but for most purposes, and especially for career opportunities, English is the must. So how is it relevant to our clinical research? As you all know, as your students, you might have gone into library and you should have seen journals, many journals. Have you ever seen a journal in any other language other than English? There are some journals, but for most part they are in English. And scientific writing is entirely different from a normal writing. Let's say if I'm writing a letter, the language that I use in that letter is entirely different from what I use in a scientific writing. And to achieve that scientific writing, the knowledge on English and the mastery on English is very important. That's why they go for IELTS, GRE, and TOEFL. So coming to the courses, we might think PhD, PharmD as a master level course, but in USA it has an immense level or a complete another level where they see as a PharmD graduate as a doctorate. So it's really important to make a choice whether you want to come for the master's program or you want to do a doctorate degree. But if you choose the doctorate degree, I would suggest you prepare the first 2 steps in the groundwork. As I said, you should be able to do your own research, and you should already be having at least 2 article publications in any journal with a good impact factor. So that if that is a part of your resume, I'm sure you can secure a position. You can get an admission for PhD. And coming to the universities, see how a student can research a bit and know what are the universities that are really good in USA. So just to give you an idea, the United States, it has 56 states. So let's say we have 3 public universities from each state. That means 50 into 3, 150. So if you take the nationwide ranking of your chosen university, it should be at least 1 to 150. If it is beyond 150, then there itself you know that it's a university with little less little less standards probably. So that is the student part. Before even you apply to the universities, you should have a research. You should have done a little research on the universities. Go into the websites and look at their nationwide rankings and research a bit on your statewide rankings. With these rankings adjacent to each other, you will have the idea whether this university has a reputation and the standards. And then if you go out and contact your seniors, then you'll get the complete picture about the universities. Why I'm stressing on universities, because we had instance back in 2016 or 17, I guess, where FBI individuals has cancelled certain universities, and most of the students who suffered is from down south. So it's really important to research a bit about these universities, okay? And what do I really mean by scientific research? So let's dig a little deep into this. Please do not fake it. What do I mean by that? You can definitely go to your instructors, say Mohan Raj sir or Narayan sir, for their observation on your research, but don't let them do your project. That's what I meant. Okay. So you should be able to define your interest. So let's say if you are interested in patient counseling, if you are interested in seeing the patient counseling strategies in the pharmacies in and around Anantapur, if that's your interest, come up with an idea. And what is the rate of patient counselings in Anantapur right now? And what are if you are interested in that field, go for it. And what will be your title of study? And what's your hypothesis? And what's the study design? So you should be able to give these 4 topics in a synopsis first. So design at least 4 to 5 pages as a synopsis. This is my interest, and this is my title, and this is my hypothesis. And this will be the study design. With those 4 to 5 pages of synopsis, then go to your observation, your guide, like say Narayan sir or say Mohan Raj sir, and they will give they'll indicate the negatives on that or the downsides. So once you fix that, then you're good to go into the further steps of the clinical research and determine what's your target population and define inclusion and exclusion criteria. What is it? So if I say patient counseling, you cannot counsel a small infant, right? So that will be your exclusion criteria. And at the same time, you cannot counsel a deaf patient if he has no hearing aids. So that will be another exclusion criteria. And what will be your inclusion criteria? Those who are not hearing impaired, So that will be your inclusion criteria. And also who has the knowledge of if it is United States, who can speak English? That's the inclusion criteria. And so that will be your inclusion and exclusion criteria. And what is the type of data that you'll get? Is it a discrete data or is it a so you'll have when you go into the biostatistics, you will know. So you'll have different types of data. And why the type of data is really important in scientific research, because it determines what the type of tests or the statistical tests that you should do. Should I use a chi-square test or should I use a t-test or a p-test? It's really determined by the type of data that you choose for your clinical research. So when you have all these things in mind, and when you can give a logic or a rationale for each and every question here, then I think you're really good to do a research on your own. And also the survey types. So if you want to question people on how likely they wanted to get counseled when they receive prescriptions from a pharmacy, when they get medications from the pharmacy. So if you want to survey people, there are certain types like focus groups. What is a focus group? It's a small random sample of people which really represents a bigger sample, a bigger population, meaning including people from all the ages and all the backgrounds. So those are the focus groups, and there are random sampling. So you should be able to define all this. And coming to the questionnaire evaluation, so what type of questions you're going to ask the people, ask your sample. So you should prepare those questionnaires, and you should evaluate those questionnaires even before submitting those to your samples. And you should get the feedback on those questionnaires, and which are peer reviewed, definitely. And so once you have the statistical tests based on your type of data, and once your tests are once you obtain the results, then you'll go for the peer review, where your entire article is read by an eminent guide, and he will provide the comments. And once you fix those comments, then you'll use your reference style. So mostly there are various reference styles like citations, references, there are various citation styles, but the most widely used in USA is APA style. So how can we do this APA style? There are a couple of textbooks on referencing styles on APA, but the widely used one is Purdue University. Purdue University, when you type this Purdue University referencing style, you'll see a website where they will guide you how to reference your So what exactly is referencing? So while writing your scientific journals, there are instances where you'll get to refer to the previous scientists. In so and so 1954, this scientist has conducted this experiment, and his conclusion was this. And you want to include this statement into your scientific into your scientific research. So if you want to do that, how can you do it? You should be able to you should be knowing all this stuff if you really want to pursue your career in clinical research as a medical writer. So that's what I want to stress on scientific research. Please do visit Purdue University reference style website, and I hope you will really find it interesting how to write references. So coming to the courses available in USA, there are all the courses can be categorized into two types of courses. One is STEM courses and the other one is non-STEM courses. So what is a STEM course? The name itself says that science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So if your course is among these four sectors, then you're called a STEM course. And I've given examples, which is a biology, cybersecurity, or chemistry. These are some examples of STEM courses. And if you have chosen a course that doesn't fall into the STEM course, then it's obviously a non-STEM course, like public health, or if you choose any arts course or a music, or let's say finance. So all this stuff goes into the non-STEM courses. So why should we care about this STEM and non-STEM? So that's the significance I explained there. So obviously, anyone who enters United States, we come here for better career opportunities, which really measured in terms of your money making, right? So if you want to make good amount of money, you have to stay longer in United States, right? So it's a directly proportional relation. So if you choose the STEM courses, it will give you to stay at least until 3 years without any H1B approval, right? So you can work for any organization without a H1B approval after your graduation. So if I entered USA right now and completed graduation in 2022, and I can stay in USA until 2025 without H1B and working for any organization. So that's the significance. You have 3 years of window period to work for any organization without H1B. And if you choose a course from non-STEM course, you will just have 1 year of that employment period without H1B. And what after that? If you really want to work after that, you have to go back to any school and get enrolled in a school, and you have to juggle between your work and also the school. So that's the main negative point about non-STEM courses. Okay. So what's the work authorization process? What is this H1B process? So there are basically two kinds of H1B categories. One is regular H1B, and the other one is direct H1B category. So how is it different from each other? So if you go for regular H1B category, so if you chose a course in the United States and you graduated there, and you chose a career in, let's say, pharmacovigilance, that comes under regular H1B category. What does it mean? So United States allows all the immigrants who have jobs to apply for H1B approval. So each year you will have at least 2 lakh applicants. So these are the people who seek H1B approval every year. And how many of them get chosen? Only 80,000 people get selected each year. So what about the rest of 120,000 people? They should either go back to school if they are in non-STEM courses, or they should wait until the next year if they are in STEM courses. Okay. And is it really that tough for non-STEM courses or the students who are in non-STEM courses, it's really tough because juggling between school and your work is not something, I mean, it's really stressful. So how can we avoid this? Yes, there are options where how you can avoid this. Direct H1 by going for direct H1B category. What does it mean? You will not, your H1 petition will not be entering this 2 lakh people. So how does it work? Once your employer files a H1 petition for you in the direct H1 category, it will directly go for the selection process. Like USCIS people, they will open up your file. They will go and read each and every line and make a judgment, like whether this person should be given H1B or not. And what are the categories or what are the employment opportunities in this direct H1B category? The only option is to work for non-profit organizations. So what are these non-profit organizations? A quick example is Red Cross Society. So what do you do there? There are several research-oriented non-profit organizations, especially in pharmaceutical field in United States. So let's go and check what are all those and how to enter those organizations and what will be your future. So let's go into that. So these are all the opportunities that I came across, and there are certain others too. So let's see what are all the opportunities first we have. Certainly non-profit organizations, clinical operations, pharmacovigilance, data management, and data analytical, SAS, R, and Python. These comes under data analytical tools. And all these four, like clinical operations, pharmacovigilance, data management, and SAS, all these four are a part of or the key fields of your clinical trials. So that's a commercial pharmaceutical industry that you're talking about here, okay? And then universities and government agencies and registered pharmacists. And I'm leaving this registered pharmacist career for Tarun, who is more eligible to talk about this. So I will leave that there. And I will deal with all other things, okay? So let's move on. So what are these non-profit organizations? The name itself indicates they are not for profits, okay? They are for human welfare and they are for research and they are for service, okay? They are service oriented. So I have given a vague and general, highly prevalent or widely known non-profit organizations here. This is a Red Cross Society. So being a student, how will you get to know these non-profit organizations? So even in Raipur, we have teams like, so when it is a games period or a games time, cricket, you'll have a team for cricket, you'll have a team for volleyball, you'll have a team for music, dance, whatever, for all this. So similarly, your universities will have teams who want to stop smoking, who want to advocate greenhouse gases, greenhouse effect, and who want to stop domestic violence. So you will find all these organizations within your university. All that you have to do is you have to explore and you have to define your interest, where my heart is. So once you become a part of those university teams, they usually go for monthly wide sessions where they will invite people from non-profit organizations who are working on these topics like smoking cessation and who are advocating for greenhouse effect or who are working for domestic violence. Similarly, there are farmer-related non-profit organizations, which is treatment outreach. So this is one of the one such non-profit organization whose mission is to supply medicines to people who are below poverty line. So treatment outreach is is such an organization where you have to find your way into it. And once you get into there, you will see a lot of internship opportunities over there, and from there your career can really sustain and move ahead, right? So similarly, there is International Society for Pharmaceutical Engineering and Parenteral Drug Association. You have numerous non-profit organizations in that are pharma related. So all you have to do is explore, reach out to them, and make relationships. Relationships are really important in the United States. Once you have those references, they really go a long way. So please explore. Please don't sit idle or just while away your time while you are here. Explore things, get to know people, and talk to them, and just reach out. So that's the takeaway point. But what are the downfalls of these nonprofit organizations? You found your way there, and you grabbed an internship, and you found a career there. But what really are the negative sides of these nonprofit organizations? The first thing is you should have the sound research skills, which is really tough, but I wouldn't say it's impossible, but you can do it. And getting a reference is not that easy. You really have to impress people, especially your superior, with your work. So that's tough. And internship opportunities often lead to opportunities, but internships are with nonprofit organizations are mostly unpaid. So surviving is a little tough with these nonprofit organizations, and also the minimum salaries, the range of salaries will be very minimum. So that's one downside of nonprofit organizations. And also, once you enter these nonprofit organizations, you cannot move on to the commercial, which I said, regular H-1B. Once you are in the direct H-1B line, you should always see for a job which comes on into the same direct H-1B line. So let's say you started a career in one of these research RX outreach nonprofit organization, and then you want to go into a pharmaceutical industry and do as a pharmacovigilance associate. You cannot do that. You can just stay in nonprofit organizations, or you can just stay in the pharmaceutical industries. That's the negative. Contradictory point there. You really can't cross the bridges, and you cannot jump from one commercial organization to the service organization. So that's you have to make up your mind, and even before entering that field, you have to make a decision. So yeah, I'm going to stay in this nonprofit organizations for the rest of my career. So you really have to make that decision. And coming to the clinical operations, so what are the possible opportunities we have under clinical operations? We have so many opportunities, like let's say protocol writer, which comes in under medical writing, but mostly those medical writings are reserved for physicians or doctors. I mean, we are doctors technically, but I mean, medical writing or protocol writing is mainly reserved for the physicians. So what else we have? We have clinical trial associate, we have clinical trial manager, and we have clinical research associate. So what do they do? So the major responsibilities of these clinical operations people is to find the principal investigators. So before I talk about these clinical operations, I would like to give a little bit of background on these clinical operations. I'm sure you guys know who is a sponsor in terms of clinical research, who is a sponsor, who is a CRO, and who is the principal investigator. So there are three entities in a clinical research. One is sponsor, and the other one is a clinical site or investigator, and a clinical research vendor, or a CRO, contract research organization. So who is this clinical research, contract research organization? So let's say we have a marriage going on in our family. Usually what people are doing nowadays, we just give a contract to food catering service, right? So they will do all the food related job for us. So similarly, in clinical operations, in clinical research, sponsor will delegate all these clinical operations to one particular organization to do all this clinical related job. So let's say what are those jobs? To manage principal investigators, to procure medicines and to make sure the clinical sites have all the medications ready for the clinical trial. So so the CROs are basically the contracts or the vendors. So principal investigators, who are those? Principal investigators are nothing but the physicians who carry on the clinical trials at the clinical sites. What are clinical sites? Nothing but hospitals again. So principal investigators, nothing but doctors. So finding those doctors is the prime most responsibility of clinical trial associates and clinical trial managers. So how do they do that? So they use a database called Clinical Trial Management System. So in this system, you will have all the doctors who are doing research on your field of interest. Let's say I'm doing a research on muscle dystrophy. So you will have all the doctors working in United States who are doing research on muscle dystrophy in this CTMS system. So what do you do? What clinical research associates or clinical trial managers do? They will procure these the contact details of these physicians or the principal investigators. They will contact them and they will explain what their research is. They will send the protocol. They will sit with these physicians and discuss the protocol with them and see how the clinical site or the investigators are interested in doing research for those companies. So that is the prime responsibility of clinical research associates. And also they go to the clinical site. Once the principal investigator says, yes, I'm interested in your project and I would like to go ahead. If he agrees to that, then the clinical trial people, clinical operations people, they will go to the site and they will evaluate the site, inspect and select. And so they will have a pool of sites. They will go to each and every pool and they will select the best from that pool. And also they will assist with medical writers who are actually the physicians in writing protocol and also the deviations explained to the investigators. And also what is the budget allocation of the site. So let's say if the principal investigator says, hey, I need 1 lakh rupees to run this clinical site. And it is the duty of the clinical operations people to make sure that every penny is spent towards that intended use. So that's the prime responsibilities of these clinical operations. And so what's the benefits of this? If this is a really good company and if you're in a manager level, you will get to see a lot of countries across the globe for free. So that's what I mentioned, that international and domestic travel. But jokes apart, you will really see the research. I mean, how it's started, how it is going to the end. So you'll get to know the in and outs of every clinical research or the clinical trial study. So that's the clinical operations. So let's move on. That's pharmacovigilance, which is my area of expertise. I've been doing this for 2 years now. And I started as a drug safety associate and now I'm in the position of pharmacovigilance operations associate. The next level would be operations manager and then the safety scientist. So what are the databases we use for pharmacovigilance? So what exactly is pharmacovigilance? So we in the previous slide, we have seen clinical operations, right? Where I mentioned the clinical site. So what exactly happens at this clinical site? So people administer the new investigational drugs that are under research. Let's say we have COVID right now, and everyone knows that um, uh, several companies are doing clinical trials on to come up with a COVID vaccine, right? So they will administer whatever the vaccine they prepared to the clinical to the volunteers or the patients or subjects in these clinical sites, and follow the patient for a certain amount of time. And in this time, if he or she develops an adverse drug reaction, that should be reported to the pharmacovigilance department of that sponsor company. So that is exactly, so pharmacovigilance is like monitoring all the adverse drug reactions on your investigational drug. So that is the pharmacovigilance. So what do we use? What are the databases that we use in pharmacovigilance? There are just two databases worldwide, that is Argus and ARIS-G. And I got to work on Argus mostly. I never experienced working on ARIS-G. So Argus is widely used and widely accepted anyway. So what do drug safety associates do? So drug safety associates are the first persons to receive adverse drug reactions from the clinical sites. So you administered a COVID vaccine to a patient, and he has some adverse reaction. So the clinical site will send this adverse drug reaction on a form which you previously designed in your company to the pharmacovigilance drug safety associate. And he will receive that information through the database Argus. And what does he do? He checks for four important fields: whether the form has a reporter name, and whether it has the drug name, whether it has the subject. Subject name should not be there for privacy purposes. So reporter, subject, drug, and adverse reaction. So when we have these four contents in the report form, then it is a valid adverse drug report. Okay. So that's the first job of drug safety associate, to make sure whether these four fields are reported or not. And if there is any missing data, he will go back to the clinical site. Hey, can you just give me this information? Do we have this information, or do we don't have? So he has to make sure all the information is really obtained from the clinical site. So once you have all this information, he will enter all this information into the database, which is Argus. And also he will perform reconciliation both with the data management team. What do you mean by this reconciliation? So I just said that clinical sites will send the information regarding adverse drug reaction to the pharmacovigilance department of that company, of that sponsor company. Okay. So actually, data management team also receives this adverse drug reaction reports from the same clinical site to the data management team of that company. So let's say you guys all know that I work for a pharmaceutical company that is Sarepta Therapeutics. So Sarepta Therapeutics will have a pharmacovigilance department as well as a data management department. Okay, and we have a vendor who does the clinical trial job at a clinical site. Okay. So once they have an adverse reaction at a clinical site, they will send out the information to two different departments within the same organization. I hope you understand. So they will send the same data to two different departments in the same organization. So when you have two sources of information, you have to go for reconciliation, and you have to make sure all the data obtained in one department is equivalent and similar to the data obtained in the second department of the same company. That's what reconciliation exactly means. So let's say I have received 120 lines of information in pharmacovigilance department, you need to have that same amount of data, 120 lines of information with the data management as well. So that is what reconciliation means, okay? And what is quality control of cases? So you will receive the safety report forms, meaning you will have all the adverse drug reaction information on those safety report forms. And while your vendors enter the data, they will miss the data entry is a hectic job. I mean, they will just enter a case information into another case. So you need to have quality control people into pharmacovigilance, and who exactly does the job? Drug safety associates are the people who does the quality control. Okay. So the next one is safety scientist. Wait, we have mentioned associate and manager, but straight away I'm going for safety scientist. Why is that? Because I just told you an individual case safety report. I just talked to you about ICSR, which is individual case safety report, meaning if you received an adverse reaction report from one clinical site, that is just one individual case safety report. Similarly, you honestly on a daily basis, you will receive such individual reports, thousands and thousands of reports across the globe, right? So you just don't do the research in one hospital with one single patient, right? Obviously, you will go for huge number of sites and with huge amount of people, a large number of people. So obviously, you will have many thousands and thousands of individual cases each day. So if drug safety associate is the one who process each individual case, then who does the job collectively on these thousands of cases? It is safety scientist. So he processes all the adverse reactions in a collective manner. He looks at the data on a collective basis, like he looks at 10,000 different adverse reactions at a single time. That's the job of safety scientist. And why is it important? Because you will have 10,000 different types of adverse reactions. And you cannot just report the raw data to the regulatory authorities. Who are all the regulatory authorities? FDA. In case of India, it is CDSCO, I guess, right? Yeah. And if it is Europe, it's EMA. And if it's United Kingdom, it's MHRA. We have several regulatory authorities. So you cannot just dump the raw data to the regulatory authority and ask them to do their data analysis or do the analysis task. So safety scientist is the personnel who looks at the data, collective data, and segregates. Let's say you have 10,000 different adverse reactions. So what does he do? And among these 10,000 different adverse reactions, the first 1,000 reactions could be from cardiovascular diseases. Like it could be a blood pressure, it could be hypertension, it could be hyperlipidemia disorder, or it could be myocardial infarction. So he will basically segregate all the 10,000 adverse reactions into systemic order, like cardiovascular diseases, gastrointestinal diseases, musculoskeletal disorders. So that's how that's the responsibility of safety scientists. And based on this segregation, he will prepare aggregate reports. So when we did a research, when we had this amount of this many people, we got these many adverse reactions. And out of all these adverse reactions, the most prominent are from cardiovascular diseases. So the primary adverse reaction to this investigational drug is cardiovascular, and out of these cardiovascular, it could be hypertension. That's how you will determine the adverse reaction to any drug. So that's the job of safety scientist. And I just want to give you a quick point here. So when you start your career in pharmacovigilance, do not stay at drug safety associate level, okay? So this is the basic level in any pharmaceutical industry, And if you stay at such level, they really don't show interest in your profile to go and file for your H-1B petition. So you have to struggle hard and you have to reach this safety scientist level, which is a little prominent role in pharmacovigilance because you get to write these aggregate reports. So it's really a prominent role, and you have to strive hard to reach to this level so that the companies will give proper attention to your profile and they will show interest in filing your H-1B. Okay. So now going back to these operations associate and operations manager. So what are these roles? What are these roles exactly? So operations manager or operations associate, what do they do? So they manage scientists, they manage drug safety associates, they manage CROs, and they manage budget aspects of the pharmacovigilance. And they are the people who are in constant touch with regulatory responses. Let's say you received a request from FDA asking for the aggregate report, asking for the risk analysis, risk benefit analysis. So you will be the operations associate or operations manager is the primary contact for regulatory authorities. And who is the first contact from the clinical sides? Remember, it's drug safety associate. And who is the first contact from the regulatory authorities? It's the operations manager or the operations associate. Okay, and they also, most importantly, these operations manager, they take part in inspection process. What is inspection? So let's say we have RIPER, right? So even for RIPER, for any organization, there will be inspections. So how exactly the organization is doing the job? People come from regulatory authorities. They inspect these companies. There are FDA inspections. There are MHRA inspections. There are EMA inspections. So it really depends on where your drug is being investigated. Let's say if you have an investigational drug under clinical trials in USA, then you will expect FDA people to inspect your organization. So in that cases, operations manager and operations associate are the first contacts, and they will make sure you have all the quality, and you make sure you have you're actually abiding by the GMP guidelines. Okay. So that's pharmacovigilance. And let's move. Next is data management. So what exactly is the data? So let's say you have clinical sites, right? Clinical meaning hospitals. So you will administer the drug to the patient, and you will, what do you do after that? You will take a sample of blood and you will analyze. Let's say I have a new drug on hypertension, or let's say I have a drug on diabetes, sugar. Okay. So I gave the patient, I administered the drug to the patient, and after a while, within 24 hours or so, I will take the blood and I will go for the sampling. I mean, I will check what are the insulin levels of that patient. Okay. So you do this on a constant basis. You do it on every week or every 3 days or every 5 days. So you will generate lots and huge amounts of data. And who exactly receives this data? It's none other but the data management. And also, before going to that, let me just say, what are the opportunities in data management? You will start as clinical data associate, and you will, based on your experience, you will be taken as clinical data manager. And again, don't just stay at the clinical data associate level. Try to push yourself hard to reach this manager level as early as possible. Okay. And the best resource person to talk about this data management would be a colleague of Sahiti, who is Bhavna. But let me just give my idea about this data management. So I just said, taking example of insulin, that you'll generate huge amounts of data. You check the glucose levels, and you will have the data in the data management. But to process this data, a data management person cannot process or analyze the data. He just manages, meaning he will just receives data, and he will stock it as a reservoir. He cannot process it. But the thing is, he can chop off the data. I mean, he can clean up the data. Why he should clean up the data? So whenever you receive a patient's information, you just can't receive whatever the required information. Let's say I have the anti-diabetic drug. So I cannot just receive a patient's glucose levels without having his other information, like his BMI, his hypertension, the blood pressure levels, or other information. So before anyone gets to analyze the data for effectiveness of this anti-diabetic drug, so basically, let me come to my mother tongue to explain this better. So, ఒక diabetic drug ni మనం analyze చేసేటప్పుడు, we basically measure the glucose levels, right? So, glucose levels మాత్రమే sites నుంచి data SAS team కి రావు. So, basically, dataని analyze చేసేవాళ్ళు SAS. Dataని ఒక reservoir లాగా manage చేసేవాళ్ళు data management team. So, why is it important to have a reservoir of data and then a separate analyzing team? Because if the analyzing team is given hands on the raw data, they will be more focused on analyzing the data, and they will miss other parts of information in this analyzing process. So which is really a risky process for all the pharmaceutical companies. That is the reason why we have a data analyzing section and a data managing section. What exactly this data management does is, they will clean up the data and prepare the data how it is important for a data analyzing team. So that's the very general idea of the data management team. So what's the database used by these data management people? It's a widely used one is Medidata Rave. We have so many others, but most companies, they stick on to this Medidata Rave. Okay. And as I said, see, they also perform reconciliation. If you remember well, I said clinical sites send out information to pharmacovigilance as well as data management. So whenever you have two sources of information, you should go for reconciliation. It is just cross-checking. Hey, whatever the data I have, is it similar to the data management, or am I missing anything? So that is reconciliation. Okay. So now the data analysis. So what are these SAS, R, and Python? I don't want to put too much, I don't want to exaggerate. You definitely have to deal with certain amount of coding in this SAS, but it's not really that Java or other languages. Typical go on the do. It's like, I'm sure you might have constructed some flowcharts, or when you're doing some algebra or C language. So it's more kind of that thing. It's really, if you're comfortable in doing algebra in your lower classes, I'm sure you can find it very comfortable, and it's really interesting. I mean, when you have data and when you get the results at the very end of the your program, it's really, you're basically giving the efficacy levels of your drug. So A company పెట్టిన research అంతా కూడా it depends on your data analysis tools. All the hard work that is put in by your organization is it really depends on these people. So what's best for pharmacy graduates? You can, I mean, there are a lot of options: SAS, R, and Python. So SAS is widely used in clinical industry, that is pharmaceutical, biopharmaceutical, or clinical research purpose. R and Python, they're, I mean, what's the exact difference between these two? SAS has, you can analyze data using Excel, using SAS, using R, using Python. What exactly is difference is Excel can only a size. Excel can only accommodate certain amount of size, and definitely SAS accommodates a huge amount of data what Excel has. So it's basically that size matters. Excel has a limited version of a limited amount of data to be analyzed, where SAS has a real big size. So it's basically, if your data size is bigger, you have to go for the bigger version of your analyzing tool. Okay, so that's the equation. But mana clinical research lo SAS is the most widely used data analyzing tool, and in banking sector, banking lo kuda SAS use chestaru, but their most recent one is R and Python. Okay. So as I said, it's more like the algebra and flowcharts. Flowcharts in the sense flowcharts undavu, but flowcharts convert design cheseటప్పుడు you will use the conditions. If your sample size is greater than 10,000, go to this step or go to that step. If it is yes, so this is how SAS will be. Just to give you an idea, you can compare it with the flowcharts along to the, it's not really a Java. It's not that difficult. But if you can spend 2 to 3 months at least, you can clear the base SAS certification. SAS has two kinds of certification levels. One is base SAS and advanced SAS. If you have the base certification, most companies will right away come across your profile and they will hire you, because a certification is what they exactly look for in your profile. So that's the key point. You have to note it down. If you're really interested in your career in SAS, you have to make sure you have the certification. Okay. So coming to ఇప్పుడు దాకా మనం మాట్లాడుకున్నంత it's a commercial pharmaceutical industry, with the exception of non-profit organizations. And beyond these industries and beyond these commercial opportunities, you have universities. So again, if you really want to pursue your career as a teaching assistant and then excel to assistant or associate professors, as I stressed, you should have thorough knowledge and sound knowledge on clinical research. I mean, articles, publishing, conducting your own research. So that's the first step. So how do you start this? So whenever you come here for masters, you will try to find a job, right? Which is a part-time job to support yourself. In this process, within the universities, they will have graduate assistantships positions and teaching assistant positions. What does it exactly mean? So I mean, if it is a really big university, your professor is not interested in taking classes for you. He's more interested and he's busy with his research work. So in such scenario, he will choose the best people from his students. In that scenario, he will analyze the research skills of in your resume, and he will conduct interviews, and he will select certain students who are well versed in research. and he will select those for his as his teaching assistant or as his research assistant. So that's the starting point. Okay. So when you have that, when you acquire such role as a teaching assistant or research assistant, that really opens a huge lot of opportunities in futures. So as I said, once you get into that, to find a job as an assistant or associate professors, the primary requisite is to have a PhD or at least enrolled in a PhD, PhD. Okay. Otherwise, there is a shortcut which I really don't want to mention here, but let me just say it. So there are manaki universities and degree colleges unnatlugaane ikkada kuda you will have public universities, private universities, and then community colleges. So you can compare these community colleges to the degree colleges available in Anantapur Degree College. So we can compare it to the community colleges are nothing but degree colleges of our in India. Okay. So why I got to mention this? So universities, if you want to be an assistant or associate professor in university, you must have a PhD or at least enrolled in a PhD. But let's say you haven't gotten any admission in PhD. So in that scenario, you will go to these community colleges and you will say, hey, I have this master's program and I would like to pursue my career and do a PhD in near future. But I'm really interested into this teaching and I want to excel. So this is your shortcut. You can send your master's profile or a master's resume with your publications, and you can start here. But this is the shortcut to enter universities. So community colleges. Okay. Make a note of this, and when you get here, you will understand what the community colleges are and what are the opportunities there. So what is the checkpoint in this university opportunities? PhD. So if you want to pursue your career in universities, you better make up your mind and get ready for PhD. Okay. And the next one is government agencies. So the good thing about United States is they really advocate diversity in their employment agencies or in their anywhere. If it is a government agency, you will see the diversity, diversity. Like you will see African American people, you will see Native American people, you will see Asians like Chinese or Indians, whoever it is. And so this is their policy. They believe in diversity brings diversified thoughts. And with that diversified thoughts, they can really make changes. That's what they believe in. And that's why they don't hesitate taking foreign immigrants into their government agencies. Let's say if we apply for a drug inspector position in India, you cannot expect a Pakistani guy or an England guy to be a drug inspector, right? But that's the beauty of United States. You will see a lot of faces, a lot of different faces in government agencies. I personally experienced it when I went for driver's license. So when I went for social security office, I see a lot of Chinese people there. Meaning they will encourage, they will not hesitate to take if you are the right person. So with that said, let me give out my experiences from public health. That's my master's program. I did my master's in public health. So in that program, I got to do my internship with local public health agencies. What are these local public health agencies? I'm sure you guys have heard primary healthcare centers in India, right? Even we have one in Batalpalli, if I remember. So these primary healthcare centers are equal to local public health agencies. So let's say if you want to get a polio vaccine, polio drops, polio chukalani every January or so, India wide ga jarugutuntadi kada. So if you want to get those drops, you will go for primary healthcare centers. You will get those vaccines there, right? So similarly, the primary centers for health in America, in US, is local public health agencies. So that's where people get blood tests, or that's where people check their water contamination levels, and that's where people get their house mold inspections. If you're a student of public health, you will definitely have to attend any local public health agency, and you will get in and outs of these public health agency operations. I would also like to mention that these public health agencies will not have a large budget allocations. They run on day-to-day or every month basis. Like if they have a body council of body, they will meet every month, and they will make sure their finances and budgets are thoroughly reviewed each month. I would suggest seeking a job at these local public health agencies, but instead you use them as your internship opportunities and construct and build your relations. And really, I mean, your relationships with these agencies really go a long way. That's how I really got an opportunity with Florida State Public Health Agency. I mean, I used to work in a local public health agency in Missouri State, and I got a reference from there, and I attended an interview in Florida State with Florida State Public Health Agency. So, I mean, relationships and references, they really go a long way. So make sure you work with them and go for any internship opportunity. Never lose it. Okay. So let me just say what are the opportunities, what type of opportunities we can find at these public health agencies. So we have several restaurants, right, in India. We have several restaurants, food restaurants. Have you ever noticed a food inspector visiting a restaurant and inspecting things, food quality along the, and what are vessels ni use chese dish soap concentration standards prakaram unda leda, inside sit out area standards maintain chestunaya leda, cleaning area. So all this stuff, inspections. I'm sure I stayed in India for like 25 to 27 years, but I never get to really see that. But unfortunately, I visited 15 food restaurants during my internship, and I performed in inspections here. I mean, that's the kind of care people give for the health of their community. That's the importance or the significance they have defined for communities. Okay, so when you see all these things, you really get inspired by the standards they have set for their communities. And for these, similarly, we will have we have several lodges, right, motels or hotels, where people stay overnight, and if you're traveling, I'm sure you might have stayed at a lodge or a motel. Who actually does inspections on these hotels or motels or whatever it is? It is local public health agency inspectors. they are responsible for all these inspections. So I had the opportunity to visit and to inspect the hotels as well. So what exactly do we look there? It's very quite common to have swimming pools in hotels here in United States. So straight away we go to the swimming pools, we collect the sample, and we check for the chlorine content, and we check for the E. coli if there is any. And so that's where we start at, and we go into the rooms, hotel rooms, and we check for smoke detectors, and we check for whether the electricity is grounded or not, and we check for the air quality, and we check for so there are numerous responsibilities that an inspector has to perform. So all these things, so that's local public health agencies are responsible for. So that's something, and not to mention the main idea is infectious diseases or any obesity or any disease. Local public health agencies are also responsible to keep track of these diseases. Are there any HIV-related infections that are going on in the community? Are they under control, or do we have any epidemic? I mean, you will be fascinated to see their database CDC has, and all these public health agencies use that CDC website to keep track of these diseases. And whenever you notice a spike in these infections, it's almost reflected in the CDC in no time, in real time. So let's say you will have epidemiologist position in these local public health agencies. You will have an environmental health inspector at these public health agencies. You will have a policy maker at these public health agencies. So these are which I can think of from top of my brain. So I said epidemiologist, I said environmental health inspectors, and policymakers. These are the main opportunities available in public health. So what's the state public health agency? What do they do? So manaki state lo districts unnattuga, we will have county in each state of United States. So each county will have a local public health agency, right? That is called district headquarters, okay? And all these district headquarters will be connected to a state public health agency. So you will have a superior epidemiologist, you will have a superior environmental health inspector, you will have a superior public policy maker, okay? So the budget allocations really do not support H1B petitions with local public health agencies. That's why you have to start focusing at state public health agencies, okay? So let's say I studied in Missouri, so I have Missouri Public Health Agency, and I went and attended an interview with Florida State Health Agency. So you'll have all these state public health agencies. Their budget allocations are significantly higher than the local public health agencies. So you can really go for interviews, and you can really seek an opportunity with these state health agencies, okay? But again, if you're going for an epidemiologist position, your research and your data analyzing skills are the primary measurements. So what do they expect? Epidemiologist position ki apply chuste, they will definitely measure your SAS skills in this public health agencies. So that's why I got to learn that SAS. I mean, it's 2 years back. So what are the most widely sought after jobs in state public health agencies? They really go for epidemiologists and statisticians. they are like they go like hotcakes. So that's with government agencies. And coming to pharmacist license, I want to spare this one for Tarun. He is more eligible to speak about it. But I want to give a hint to the students, which you should go after Tarun and ask him this question, because I really don't know. So that's I highlighted in red. Find a pharmacy who can offer internship and sponsor. So how we should search for a pharmacy owner who will offer you internship and offer you sponsors. So let's say if I'm searching for non-profit organizations in pharmacy-related industry, I told you have to be a member in your local university teams, and then from there you can get to know the non-profit organizations. So that's the way, and I really don't understand how we can get to know these pharmacy owners in United States, and so I haven't seen any platform that offers these links. So your next speaker, I think he will be able to speak to that. With that, I would like to end this session. I mean, if you have any questions, please do. Please do ask. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much, Amina.
Yeah.
Yes, you have clearly and you have explained what we'll be having and what the work we have to do there. It's clearly a very brief, a very detailed information about that. So before going for question and answer session, I'll ask whether Narayan sir is going to speak few words regarding this session.
Yeah. Thank you,
Yes,
Sahiti. I think Avinindra had explained in detail about all the areas, what are the possibilities are there for PharmD graduate and how they need to plan for different sectors like pharmacovigilance and clinical research and other epidemiology. I think everything he has given very clearly. Thank you, Avinindra, for your in detail explanation about all the areas which we need to focus in United States. Thank you very much, Avinindra.
You're very welcome, sir.
Like SAS, like where we need to go for SAS courses, Avinindra? Do you tell any?
Yeah, that's a good question, sir. That's a really good question. Because people usually, what people usually do is like they will get enrolled in some biology or chemistry or some job, some master's program, and at the end of their course, then they will start realizing, oh, I should have gotten training in SAS, or I should have gotten training in data management. But if you research a little bit, there are universities who really offer master's program on clinical data analytics.
Okay.
So just to mention, University of Missouri is one such university where you can find a complete master's program for clinical data analytics.
Okay.
So in that you will get training for SAS, you will get training for SPSS, you will get training for R, I guess, yeah. So that's where you can. I mean, it really goes on to your research level, sir. You should really go deep and research. I mean, we are there to help you, but I mean, there are also universities where they offer master's program for pharmacovigilance. Well, one such example is Solars University. It's based in New Jersey. They give a complete 1.5 year program on pharmacovigilance. They will train you as a drug safety associate. They will train you as a safety scientist, and then they even offer you internships. So even before you graduate, you'll go and sit in a pharmaceutical company and do the job for 6 months, and after that, I mean, once you are there, your doors are automatically open for your careers.
Yes. Thank you,
Yeah.
Avinindra.
Yeah.
Avinindra, related to this SAS, regarding the certifications, whether many of Indian, some of the Indian institutions like at the private institutions or like consultations, they are also providing the SAS certification courses. So what's the value for that? And whether it is there are so many, I think you have heard when you are here, like there are 3 months vacation programs, 6 months
Yes.
programs. So what's your view on that and how the career will be in that?
Yeah, I personally got a trainer from Hyderabad for SAS, and I mean they're really doing a decent job. You can trust them, but before making any payments, make your own research. Get in touch with people who already got training from them, and see their satisfaction level, and attend 1 or 2 demo sessions, which everyone is nowadays they're offering demo sessions. And you will see for yourself how talented and how experienced they are. So it really speaks. I mean, when you're in the field, you'll know for yourself. So I would really advocate such individual training organizations. So yeah.
And how the opportunities will be there in US and for SAS who had done SAS certifications or SAS training programs in India, how they have to approach for the job?
So yeah, for any job in clinical operations, Gani, or pharmacovigilance or SAS, the first time you enter into the company, that's where you really need a market or who can market your resume and who can prepare you for the industry. That's when you need. That's when you really need a person to market your resume. But once you get into the company and you gain experience on your SAS or clinical research or pharmacovigilance, and right now I'm marketing for myself. I mean, once you have that confidence, you don't need anyone to market your profile and no one to sell you to the company, right? So that's, I mean, you should be that talented and that passionate to find a job for yourself. Don't rely on, for the first time it's okay, everyone does that, but for the second for your second project or for your second jobs, don't rely on those consultants for market for job search purpose.
Okay. And one more question, Amnindra sir. So regarding this pharmacovigilance or any clinical data management program, so what are the suggestions you ask for the students to practice during their internship and clerkship?
Yeah, that's I don't want to give hard time to Padmanabh Reddy sir, but I would really ask if there is any possibility. I would ask Riper management to allow students during their 5th year, at least the last 6 months, to find their heart if they are interested in data management. I'm sure we have sources like Umesh, who is a regular PharmD candidate. I think he's working on data management. So reach out to those people and see if their company has any internships, and we can tie up with them and we can send our current students to their companies and get experience or hands on the databases. Similarly, we have people from pharmacovigilance, from PB and also regular funding. So it really depends on how well you connect with the alumni and how well you make use of your resources available.
Okay, good. And there is one question from Mitali that, is there any opportunity for MD pharmacology after PharmD?
MD pharmacology, yeah, I mean, yes, we do have, but as I said, it really, I mean, whenever you apply for a PhD, what's MD? I mean, is she asking about PhD?
No, the question was opportunity for MD pharmacology. MD pharmacology.
I really don't understand. I mean, is she talking about MS in pharmacology?
Maybe MS pharmacology, I guess.
Sorry?
Maybe MS pharmacology, I guess.
Yeah, yes. There are universities. Just to mention, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. It's one of the biggest universities in United States. most famous for its research opportunities, right next to Harvard University and MIT. So clinical research lo jarige I mean University of North Carolina Chapel Hill is one of the best universities that I can think of. University of California is another one. So there are universities which can offer pharmacology, masters in pharmacology. Yeah.
So after PharmD, how can we approach that?
Yes, again, so if you want to seek admission in pharmacology, come up with I mean, first you have to do is go to the website. I mean, which university you want to get admission from. Go to their website and see their GRE or IELTS score, what is their prerequisite. And if they are asking for any articles, whether you have done or anything, then SOPs, send your SOPs and references. So that's basic stuff. I mean, there is no special process for pharmacology masters.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
And whether a PV certification course or any like diploma courses, is it necessary after PharmD? And if it's necessary, like which university or which you are going to suggest?
It's not mandatory to have certification to enter pharmacovigilance, but I would suggest if you are coming for I mean, if you are coming to United States and if you are not on getting pharmacist licensure and you just want to do pharmacovigilance, then there are universities who are offering masters in pharmacovigilance. As I said, Solar's University is one such university. So you can apply for them and they're giving the I-20s and you can have a 1 year or 1.5 year course. And the last 6 months would be an internship where you'll go into a pharmaceutical industry and see the database for yourself. It's not mandatory to have a certification.
Yes. Okay. And there was a question from Mahesh asking whether IELTS or TOEFL, which is most preferred in US.
It really depends. It's not. I mean, see, okadaniki. There is no ranking level andi. TOEFL, GRE, ఏది best, ఏది least అనేది లేదండి. It's just whatever the university prescribes. I mean, if the university wants IELTS, you will go for IELTS. If the university wants TOEFL, you will go for TOEFL. But there is a general rule that most USA universities prefer GRE and IELTS, whereas most Canadian universities, they prefer GRE and TOEFL.
Okay, sir. And one more question. So after, as you have said, we can go for MS Pharmacology. We can opt for that. So whether there are any research institutions like how we are having ICMR in India, so whether there are any institutions which can offer jobs after we complete MS Pharmacology or any other courses in US?
Yeah, that's a good question. We have American Heart Association, American Lung Association, Lung and Thoracic Society. We have many research centers, and universities are the strongest research centers in the. That's why American education system is so strong. Their research and their research centers are nothing but the universities. Other than that, you have so many private or non-profit organizations like American Heart Association, American Lung and Thoracic Society. There are huge. There are numerous. I really can't keep listing out each and everything. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Amindrah. And
Amindrah, sir, yeah. Is there any policies in US universities to make any liaison with Indian university? So what the exchange program of students are made?
I can see where you're going. I mean, there is one college from Guntur who had tied up with the University of California, I guess. I mean, వాళ్ళు చెయ్యరు అని కాదు సార్. If you come up with the right proposal and right standards, they will come forward to work with you. The only thing is you should be able to convince them with the standards you're setting and with the people you wanted to send in here.
And number 2 is writing of paper, that is a research collaborations. For example, students, of outgoing students, particularly family, we have not been that much educated regarding research. And now in India particularly, research became a very component of growth. So in this regard, what happened is whenever we approach for writing any research paper to a journal, which is a basic of USA, we are getting the papers rejected a lot. Within means the acceptance rate may be 36%, but most often the articles are getting rejected. And one of the reason is the way by which technically the paper has been written. The technical way of, that is the scripting of paper. There's more bias on it whenever you consider Indian authors and the particularly US authors. For example, recently, if you go through this AJP, American Journal of Pharmaceutical Education, in the past 12 years, they have nearly 36 papers written on PharmD particularly, regarding how well the clerkship can be defined and internship, how it could be practiced, the PGY1 and PGY2. Everything, the deliberations are being made, and all the authors are particularly from USA. But the current trend or the scenario of how well the pharmacy practice has been done in India. So when we write a paper to AJP, but AJP is a monthly publications, not an annual or biannual or semi-annual. It is monthly, and we are getting nearly, I think, 14 papers an issue. We are getting it. But nowhere for the past 6 years, if at all you get into the exact survey, 6 years, there is no author outside of USA contributing towards a journal. And what they are writing is regarding pharmacy practice, strengthening the pharmacy practice, or how well the curriculum are being refined on a yearly basis. For example, based on the ACP or ACCP guidance, everything is good. But none of the occurrence of the publication is from Asian aspects. So what happened is the main reason getting rejected is maybe what we personally identified is scripting errors are there. So and they are suggesting a publication group or author proofing. So once we are getting into the author proofing for the publication house, it is enormous. Nearly they charge 500 USD for doing all the process. So why come it is so in particular? Why? Because I'm very specific in USA. This is the thing happening on research process. And when you compare with the Indian standard, economical wise of publishing a paper in an US-based journal is very difficult. And how come we can potentiate students to write a paper in a well-indexed journal? So why? Because it is one of the criteria to get into US for any type of position. So how well you can give your suggestion, please?
Sure, sir. So I don't know what's the script you used in your research articles, and and what the feedback they have exactly given. I mean, if you can send it to my email, I will just go through and I can make sense out of it. And I also have to go through the journal or the publisher's expectations. I mean, what his, so let's say, I mean, reference styles, let's go for APA is the widely used reference style. And if you go with any other format, they will straight away first reject it. So I have to see those the comments, the feedback that you have received from the American journals, and the second thing is I would say this it's alumni, sir. Again, going back to alumni. So let's see, let's research and find some professors who came from India and now a professor in United States University. And if we can get a little bit of help from them, we can understand what exactly the publishers are expecting, and how can we minimize the scripting errors, as you mentioned. So I think that can really potentiate and push our articles into the journals, and that's how I think we can alleviate the situation or the problem. You know.
And number 3 is regarding any way of internship. Online programs are available for students. For example, any basic certification available on, for example, a first aid, a cardiology aid, or any type of aspects. We are not aware about what is existing in US.
Yes, as I said, first aid certifications and severe cardiac arrest, life ventilatory support. There are certain certifications which I understand what your question. So all these things you can get online if you have. If you once establish a memorandum of understanding with a university, I think that will be the gateway to get all these certifications to our students. It's not that really hard. For that, I think pharmacy practice department, especially you and Narayan sir and Padmanabh Reddy sir should visit United States and with a proper proposal. And also with a list of universities that you're seeking memorandum of understanding, so I think if we can start it, there, we can get our students certified on those first aid and life ventilatory support certifications.
And number 4 is regarding this particular aspect regarding education. So what type of masters is more valid in US? Because most often everybody get into MPH.
Sir, please do not, I will answer you personally, but do not plant that which is best and which is more salary getting. Please do not never advocate it to students. I would strongly suggest let them find their interest. That's what they do it for the rest of their life. If you go and find what's the most paid most paid job, you'll do it for a year or 3 years or 5 years, and down the line you'll like, oh come on, I can't do this for the rest of my life. There are certain programs which are really demanding, but it's your interest. You come up with the idea, you find your heart, you come up with a passion, and that's what you have to put all your efforts in.
Yeah, that's correct. But once I'm from the student point of view, that was the thing. Why? Because most often, Riper alumni, particularly, they are well focused and they have completed their MS in public health. So what we are not aware about, what are all the other programs? For example, I think there is a program called as health informatics. So which is one of an recent means an unbiased and also a very dedicated program of US health informatics. And I think they have established HTA also, health technology assessment. So these things, what happen is the seed of all this particular type of program is been there in US. And that particular programs increase the demand, not alone in USA, but also in Asian countries. For example, now what happened, there are few private deemed universities in India. They have started the program like health informatics and also health technology assessment, for which the teachers are from USA.
Okay.
So to what extent the HTA or health informatics outcome, the particular program outcome is going to be showcased is a question mark in India. Unless otherwise, that particular thing is being potentiated by the government universities. But what happened is here, whatever in USA, the program has been started, the same program has been started with the same professors of USA. And now what happened is the number of seats are very less. And the charge of the program, for example, I said it comes nearly 18 lakhs for doing an health informatics program in a private university in India. So what is the outcome? So now what happened is students are not bothering about the financial aspects. But at the end of completing an HI or HTA, the job employment either in the private university, private aspect or in a government aspect or public sectors are very, very less.
Yeah.
So like that, if at all, these things are unaware in the students. So what they generally ask is apart from MPH, why? Because for the past 5 or 6 years, they are hearing
They've
only
been
the
listening
program.
this MPH.
MPH1. But and now what happened? They are looking for other causes.
Yeah.
And we are not able to suggest them. That is the main thing. Why? Because we don't have our alumni in health technology assessment or health informatics. So
honestly, I mean, I really couldn't able to find a person that's related to health informatics, but I heard that there is a huge demand in United States for health informatics. But what are the career opportunities and what's the scope? I really, it's nebulous to me too. I really can't speak to it, but I'll definitely research a bit and I'll speak to you personally on that. Even in India, I mean, let's see. Let's be honest. When government introduced PharmD program, it was like it was a huge hit. Everyone was went mad about it. I mean, everyone wanted to do it. But see the outcome. Government is not giving enough push for the graduates. There are no government jobs specifically designed and dedicated for PharmD students. I mean, there are really challenges with the advent of new courses coming in. I would only suggest people just give it a little bit of time, let the courses settle in, and let's see what are all the opportunities and scope we have, and let's make an informed decision. Let's not rush to it.
Yeah, that's right. And one more is regarding simulation teaching learning process, which has been well established in US. And how far you think that particular thing could be initiated in Indian PharmD curriculum?
What's simulation technology?
Simulation based means completely. For example, we have a methodology called as PBL, problem based learning. So what this PBL is being also rose up from USA. The very first article on therapeutics. Pharmacotherapeutic rose up from USA, and there is a PBL on pharmacotherapeutics, and the very second article was on PBL in clinical pharmacy practice. So what happened is, anywhere we hear about an Indian pharmacy teachers speaking about any novel teaching methodology, they are saying simulated teaching. So we are really unaware. As a teacher, we are saying. So how far this simulation can be an ending in fruit for a student?
I mean, honestly, I'm listening to this simulation technology for the first time. Although we use technology like let's say like Zoom or the normal regular class we don't have typical blackboards. I mean, we go by presentations. That's the technology we had, but simulation technology, I mean, I have to research. Is it something from Elon Musk?
Okay, sir. Okay. And particularly from your point, could you give your advices or recommendation how far this millennial pharmacists can shape themselves? Why? Because you are our treasure. Your alumni are our treasure. So what the treasure has to shape the upcoming generation.
Yeah,
what recommendations you can give, please?
Yeah, for all the pharmacy graduates, for all the pharmacy students, if you are in third year or fourth or fifth, it is time to start. Make up your mind, make a decision whether you want to be a pharmacy, US pharmacist license, pharmacy, registered pharmacist, or any other, in fact, Canada or whatever it is. You want to be a pharmacist, or you want to go for other fields, like as I said. Make your thorough research, prepare the groundwork, get in touch with people. There is nothing wrong. All you can ask for is information, and we're there. So never sit idle. So that's all I can say. I mean, pick your professor's brains on research on these scientific publications. That's really important if you want to pursue a career in universities and clinical research. So yeah, that's don't sit idle and start working.
Okay, Vanindra. Sathi, any more, Sathi?
Yes, sir. There are few questions. Avinindra, can I ask?
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Avinindra,
sir.
You have seen the education system in India, and you have gone through PharmD program in India. Okay. So you might have gone, I think one course you did in US also, that is health, MPH,
public health, sir.
Master in Public Health. Okay.
Yep.
So what are the main differences you have observed in the teaching learning systems when compared with Indian system?
Sure. Sure, sir. First thing, we will not have any that conventional paper pen based system. We will not have that thing. First thing. So out and out, you'll be working on a computer. So you have to know. You have to have that computer skills. You have to hone that computer skills. The first thing, starting right off the bat, you have to start with Excel. You should be a prominent user of Excel, and you should at least have the skills to develop your pivot tables. So if you at least reach to that level, you are ready for masters. And you should be able to plan your day on your email. I mean, if you go for Outlook, you'll have the calendar, and you can plan out your schedules. You can plan out your meetings. So that's second thing. And you'll have they'll have platforms called Blackboard. That is where every student is assigned their projects, their exams, their homework, and their whatever the materials that professors want to share. They will do it on Blackboard. So that's most widely used database in the universities. And how they are built is, if you write anything from the Google for your project, and if you use the same sentences in the Google, the Blackboard will definitely find it out and show it to the university professor that the so-and-so student has plagiarized the content from Google to his project. So don't resort to plagiarize and start using your own words. So that's why IELTS and TOEFL are very crucial to enhance your English writing skills. So that's data analyzing like MS Excel. Even for small projects, you have to use Excel to analyze your data, to get your statistical results like chi-square, t-test or p-test. You need not go and do the statistical, the traditional way of jolting down on paper and do the calculations. All these calculations are inbuilt in Excel. You just have to know how to use the data and how to use the formula, how to write that syntax. So that's one thing, sir. And the next thing is proper alignment, as rightly Mohan Rao sir has said. The scripting is very important, and all these APA format, AMA format, it's already embedded in your Word. So if you just select the data and ask PDF or Word to arrange it in APA style, it's already there inbuilt. So all you have to know is that it's already there. I have to click this button. So get well versed with Excel, get well versed with Microsoft Word and other tools you have, and start. Don't hesitate to get to know the newer trends in technology. there are many YouTube channels where you can learn this on a daily basis instead of watching any worthless media debates. You just hook up to some useful channels like this, which deal with technology, and really excel yourself, push yourself harder to your goal.
Okay, right. Avanindra, I think regarding this PharmD internship program, so how, what are the major differences during the internship program of USA and India?
That's a beautiful question, sir. So you'll never have these Medicare, Medicaid insurance programs in India, right? So we have locally designed programs like Arogyasri. We have such kind of, but I don't think when you bill a prescription I'm not sure whether it shows an Arogyasri life insured patient or not. But Medicare, Medicaid is it's like everyone in the United States will have it if he's a citizen. If you are not a citizen, and if you are an immigrant student, your university will cover your insurance. So basically, every healthcare consumer should be medically insured. That's their policy. So when you practice pharmacy in these in this internship opportunity, that's where you really have to get familiarized with these insurance policies and whether they are covered or not, and if they are not covered, what are your options. I know this is a financial aspect of the pharmaceutical pharmacy practice, but that's the major differentiation I have seen, and also. We don't have a generic generic kind of pharmacy practice here. Everything comes up in a branded brand. Even the doctor prescribes it with a branded name. So a pharmacist has to know each and every brand, and that's crucial in your FPGE. I mean, in Naplex. And the second thing is you are bounded by the pharmacy laws. That's very important here. I mean, you can go to, I mean, there are OTC drugs which you can get off label without any prescription, but there are drugs which you can't get without prescription. And if you if you trespass the law and if you commit any such illegal activity, you are straight away they're going to revoke your license and you'll be expelled out of the pharmacist community. So that's they're very stringent about their laws, and they're very strict, which is good. So yeah, that's all I can say, since I'm not into I haven't really started my internship, so that's my basic understanding, sir. Okay. I think Tarun can speak more on this. He has the idea of what's the software the database they use and how they look up the drug interactions. I think he can speak more to that.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
No problem, sir.
I think one more question is there in question and answer.
No problem. I am totally free.
Yes, there are a few more questions are there, sir. I'm going to ask Aminendra.
Yeah, sure.
Aminendra, regarding this internship only, there was a question here by she's asking what we have to learn in internship and how to approach to become a clinical data associate. The skills we have to acquire during internship.
Can you come once again, Saidi? I really didn't catch her question. I'm sorry.
The skills we have to learn or we have to acquire during internship.
Internship of what? Is it a pharmacy internship or?
Family internship. We'll be having.
Okay.
Hello.
Sorry. Hello.
Yes, Anna. In the final year, we'll be having internship, right, Aminendra?
Yeah. 6th year they will have internship. Yes. Yeah.
During that internship, So what are the skills we have to acquire and how to approach to become a clinical data associate? A clinical data associate.
Okay, so
Yes, you can continue on.
okay. So while doing your internship, you will go for ward rounds. You will have access to all the clinical data of the patient. So if you collect the data first, collect the data and make sure you follow the privacy and confidentiality of the patient. Never reveal their identity. Without that, you can collect the data. But before collecting the data, take necessary permissions. And so once you have the data, try to play with it. Like, how can I analyze this? How can I get a reasonable question out of this? And so when it comes to analyzing data, again, you have to go back. I mean, in India, I don't think you'll have access to SAS or SPSS, but in US universities, you'll have that software within the universities to use it for free, available to students. So since we don't have such facilities back in India, you should get at least proficient with Excel and start using all the statistical tests from Excel. And once you have those results, try to analyze it and try to put in words. Let's say, I mean, if one of your, if a statistician says that the 95% confidence interval, I can say that so and so drug is 50% effective. Try to get those. How can I say, like, try to put it in your own words. Seeing that data. I mean, if you have a confidence interval, CI is equal to 95% and efficacy E is equal to 75%. Try to put that into words, because it really helps to you to write publications. That's how people evaluate your data. So collect the data, get necessary permissions, collect the data, analyze it, and check it and evaluate it with your peers, like SARS or fellow students, and then try to put it in words. That's what the simple project I would take it for myself if I were a student there.
One more question, Amindrana. So as we have said, either in clinical data management, during database designing or during the data entry, we have to use coding. Or also in the PV, we have to use coding. So one of the whether we are having any online coding courses.
No, I mean, it's not that really difficult. Coding is it's just 2 or 3 hours issue. You'll have Who Drug Dictionary and MEDRA, which is a medical. I mean, Who Drug Dictionary is for concomitant medications that you use. And MEDRA is for the adverse reactions, adverse events. So people don't, I mean, if you have heart attack, if a normal patient will come and say, hey, I have some chest pain. So that's the verbatim, right? He will not say, I had a myocardial infarction, which is a medical term. So he will just put out the words in a layman's term, and it is the duty of drug safety associate to convert it into the most suitable medical terminology. And for this purpose, you have a MEDRA, which is a medical, we call it as a medical dictionary. It's already embedded in Argus and also embedded in your data management database, which is Rave. So both these people, they have to code the same adverse event in their databases. So you will make sure the same verbatim is represented with the same event codes, and you have no discrepancy. You should not have any discrepancy in these medical terms in your databases. I don't think you need any certifications, or I don't think you have to go rigorous training for this. It's a matter of 1 or 2 days, or and is actually a part of your Argus training. I mean, pharmacovigilance training. So there is no separate training on this medical coding.
Okay, Anna. And as you already have said, you should not ask me about. I should not ask you about the pay scale. But there was a question. They want you to brief about the pay scales of clinical
Yeah,
operation
sure.
and vigilance person.
Yeah, your pay scale would start around $5,000. An average pay scale would be $5,000 per month, and it ranges based on your experience. Once you get to the managerial level, people then really start reaping profits. I mean, benefits. Like it will go around 8,000 to 12,000.
Okay, Anna.
And it's not, and this is excluding benefits. Like benefits in the sense you'll have 401k, which is pension. I mean, retirement. So all that stuff, health benefits and yeah, benefits. So basic experience in batti 8,000 to 12,000. A starting scale would be around 5,000. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Anna. And one more question regarding pursuing MBA after PharmD. Even I have seen that you are pursuing right now. So there was a question: can PharmD graduates do MBA? And also they are asking MBA in healthcare management. So how do you answer this question?
Yeah, I'm the live example for that. I'm currently doing the MBA. Healthcare management, you mean PharmD, I mean Pharma MBA?
That was not specific. Just they asked, can PharmD graduate do MBA in healthcare management?
Of course you can do. Of course you can do it. I was actually interested in these financial aspects. I mean, you will be the certified managerial accountant and certified. There are two positions, which those are the primary opportunities for PharmD graduates if they go for MBA. And the basic responsibility of this job is to analyze the financial aspects of prepare balance sheets, prepare financial statements, and see where the investments are going, and see how the profits are coming. So you will basically give suggestions and give the reports to chief financial advisor or chief financial officer, CFO, who in turn gives reports to chief executive officer, CEO. But you have to get certified. You have to pass exams to reach to that level. But if you're really passionate about your finance and accounts, I would suggest doing that. You'll be in a different level of world. I mean, your level starts, your starting level will be very high in the organization. Yeah.
And if anyone wants to pursue PhD in abroad countries, so how they have to approach after
first? Yeah. You prepare the checklist. First, you try to have at least 2 publications. In the sense, you should thoroughly talk about your publication. So that's what I advocate for. Don't just pay money and someone else do your research. Never do it. You do the research, even at least 1 article, that's fine. Do it, and then check on the university website for their GRE and IELTS scores, and hit those scores, and then apply to the university with your transcripts and SOPs and letter of recommendations. So that's where I would start with. And also, it's once you get the, they will also ask your proposal. What's your research field of interest, and what's your proposal of doing PhD, and what's your synopsis. So at least you should be prepared until your synopsis, and you should talk about your methodology, your statistical analysis procedures, and your study design, and your study time period, and your that's what I mentioned in the scientific research slide. Your
Yes. And one last question, Avindrana. So
Yep.
you have very clearly explained about the opportunities, and there was a question about both opportunities and challenges a PharmD graduate will face in abroad. So you have clearly explained about the opportunities. So can you talk about the challenges a PharmD graduate will face?
With all the commercial job opportunities?
Maybe both commercial.
Yeah, as I said, finding internships are tough. It's not that easy. You should really impress people with your job. So that's first thing. But to impress people, you should have that skills. So acquiring skills and impressing people are the real challenges, I would say.
Okay, Anna. Thank you so much. I request the participants, because there are questions regarding the licensure examinations, there are questions regarding to that. And we are having one more speaker on Sunday. He is also from US, and he is going to take a session on that. So whatever the questions you have asked regarding that, we'll be asking to that speaker on Sunday. So that questions will be answered on Sunday. So with this, we are going to conclude today's session. We are very thankful to Avinindra Anna, because I know it's we are early in the morning, you are taking a session for us. We are very thankful for that.
It's a privilege to be your resource person, because I never had any person who can guide me like this. So I thought I could be of any use. And if I really make to India this December, I really look forward to meeting you all and have a session in person, because I am not a technology guy. I really want to see people and discuss. So yeah, I can give you that word. I'll be there in Anantapur, and we'll have a live session one day.
Thank you, Avinindra. You must.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Waiting to see you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Avinindra, for your time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Avinindra.
And for interest in motivating the millennial pharmacists from India currently pursuing their PharmD graduation or post-graduation in pharmacy practice. It was very, the presentation was very realistic. I think it was not like a PowerPoint presentation, what you were doing in post-baccalaureate. And it was very finest presentation. The PPT which you have did is really admirable. Things what you have been mentioned is very, very concise, and you have debriefed it a very lot of it. And I think students have understood a lot. And if any more queries are there, we will let you know. And
to make it easier for us, I would ask you maintain a list of questions from students, and once we have hit at least 10 to 25 or 50 questions, then we can have another session with answering all those queries or all their doubts. That will be pretty easy. And,
yes, so we can have a workshop on a particular database, which has been highly followed in USA. So it will be easy for our students too. And very thanks for your time. And you got that much early at the morning. You're spending a lot of time for us.
Almost 2.5 hours. 2.5
really
hours.
appreciate.
Thank you so much, sir. It's a privilege.
2.5 hours plus.
I really wish Raipur should start. I mean, should start its way heading to US. I mean, FarmerRelated should take an initiative visiting here, and you should do your background. I mean, little research on the universities where we have opportunities to place our students into the internship program here. that's really challenging. Yet that if we could do that, it will be a huge jewel to that to our organization. I will get in touch with my contacts if I have anyone. I mean, independent pharmacies are the places to hit, sir. I mean, wherever you go in United States, there are two chain pharmacies, either CVS or Walgreens. They will not let us our students to have an internship opportunity there. So having said that, we should start hitting or focusing on independent pharmacies. There are a series of pharmacies set up by Gujarati Patels. I heard that they're starting a huge chain of opportunities, pharmacies, and if we can get someone from such pharmacies, I think we can open we can open new doors for our pharmacy students. I mean, we should start walking that way.
Sure, Anindra, we'll
Yeah.
definitely plan to visit. Actually, we have planned to visit US last year, but it couldn't be materialized. Actually, professional
Okay.
group we have planned
Okay.
along with that means IPA team, but it
Okay.
was not materialized because
Okay.
of various reasons. And this
Yeah.
year it is not possible. And next year
Yeah.
definitely we'll plan.
Sure, sir. Sure. I'll be waiting to hear.
Yeah, definitely. How best we can help our students to explore the resource possibilities at US.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Thank you, Avanindra.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Amanindra. Take care.
Thank you, sir. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Avanindra. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Thank you. Good day.
Yeah.
Sahiti? Sahiti?
Sahiti is in mute.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, ma. If any announcement are there for tomorrow, you can
Yes, sir.
kindly inform me.
Yes, sir. We are going to announce the tomorrow session and then I will wind up the session.
Yeah, ma, sure.
Yes, sir. And we are very thankful to the Amanindra sir for joining the session. Though he is having a very wee hours, he has joined for us and he had explained very detailed about the opportunities in USA. And tomorrow we are going to have another 2 more sessions, which will be one speaker will be from Canada, and one speaker will be from India, who is working in ICMR. I hope the participants will utilize this opportunity to explore the sessions and to know how the opportunities are there in Canada and in research in India. So with this, we are going to wind up the session. Very thanks to all the participants for joining. I hope tomorrow we'll join the session by sharp 10 a.m. Thank you for joining. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma.
Thank you.